What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Friday Night Losers Lounge. You know what's funny? The Nuggets go 4-1 on the road trip, 5-1 over their last 6, and it really is just like such a frustrating. It was a frustrating game to watch.
Yeah, it was.
But also, I think in a lot of ways, kind of explainable. But we are presented, of course, today as always by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Use promo code DNVR when you sign up. D-Line, you're in the house.
Here I am. I'm here, guys. It's a bad night in Colorado sports. If you are a multiple sport aficionado like myself, there's just bad vibes. This is a bad vibe.
It is a bad vibe, man.
But you know what's good?
We might keep it short tonight. I don't know.
You know what though? I like hanging out with our people. This is a therapy session. We're going to work it out together. We're not going to mention what happened at 20th and Blake. But
what happened?
I just said, but we are going to talk about the Denver Nuggets.
Into it. Would you say that tonight is a night we suffer together?
Tonight is a night. There's suffering that's happening. I don't know who
together,
it all.
Together.
I don't know who it extends to, but there's definite suffering.
Yeah. Over here we got the man with the wind in his hair.
I'm finally on for the start of a post game show.
See?
Oh wow!
And it's
I feel
on
good.
tonight of all nights.
That to me is good vibes. I'm happy about
Welcome to the Losers Lounge, and then of course Duvalier, superstar Dev.
We had like a good start of the week with the mic. Everything was super high. And
vibes were great.
We have to just like end it with this type of.
We got to take it. Yeah, you got to take it out.
I knew things were going to go bad when everyone got upset about the Rockies news all at the exact same time.
Yo,
just not a good night.
No.
Yeah, this was a rough one. So the Nuggets drop 119-109. They dropped to San Antonio. They never win in San Antonio. That's the bummer, man.
Only in the playoffs.
Well, in the playoffs
apparently.
They win in San Antonio. Thank God. But it is just a house of horrors for the Denver Nuggets and has been for, I believe, my entire existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys ever seen a game in San Antonio?
Mm-hmm.
The arena there
Remember when we went to San Antonio?
Oh, yeah, you were there. Yeah, we were both there for that. For those who haven't been there, the arena, like inside of it is like a maze. There's tunnels and inner tunnels and hallways and inner hallways. And then just the feel of it, it's such like an old school vibe.
It is very old building,
It's
man.
such an old school vibe.
It's a very old building.
Like Greg Popovich's mind.
It does look like Greg Popovich's brain.
It's a tough place to play. It's a tough place to play.
I like that you say it's a tough place to play, but your evidence for that was that it's old and cavernous for media.
What I was getting at, there's just like this feeling when you walk in there. There's this feeling when you walk in there and you're like, oh shit, this is where the Spurs have won approximately 5,000 games.
It does definitely feel like
20 years.
Yeah, it definitely feels like you're going
walking
to a place.
into like a shrine.
Yeah,
almost.
definitely a shrine. And I'll tell you what, Spurs fans are good. You know, they're very much
They're
like a
smart
family.
too, yeah.
But they're like they have all kinds of good stuff, and you know the black is very menacing. It's a very menacing color to fill up the arena. So the Nuggets in this one, I'll just start off the top and I'll throw it to you, Dev. Is this a surprise? Is this a big deal? What's your takeaway from this game?
I mean, I don't think that it was much of a surprise. It's the last game of the road trip. They're just ready to get back home, see family and things of that nature. Plus, they played so well on the road trip. Like,
Yeah.
That's still a successful road trip. My takeaway for the game is the Spurs came into the game as what the bench unit was number one in like defensive efficiency and also like net rating. And then they went against the Nuggets, and the reason that the Nuggets have been doing so well lately is because their bench unit has been winning, matchups and has been playing so well. This was a night that the bench unit did not play exceptionally well, and nobody really did besides Jokic. So it was just not a good night.
Well,
yeah. My two big takeaways: not enough help for Nikola Jokic tonight. He really tried to do it himself and just didn't have enough help. And then in the fourth, Denver looked exactly like a team in the fifth game, in the last quarter of a long road trip where they've played some tough games, and the turnovers, the missed box outs, the questionable decision making, just the mental mistakes. They looked like a team that was just like dead.
Yeah.
They like short wired.
They had a moment where I really thought they were going to pull it out. They tied up. I think they took the lead, and then Jamal Murray hurt his legs. Feel like we've seen this before.
Non-stop with this dude, man.
I think a lot of the conversation from this game is going to be about the lineup choice to close the game, where Michael Porter Jr., who's been so amazing the last several games, was taken out and not put back in. JaMychal Green and Will Barton had those spaces. So I don't know. Tough night.
He was pretty bad tonight. I thought Michael
bad.
Porter, yeah.
He wasn't great.
And this was a good game for us to kind of calibrate where he's at within Malone's sort of like where Malone views him in the pyramid, because he was not good tonight and he got yanked and was not allowed to play. And it wasn't like Will Barton was good. Will Barton was also bad tonight.
Yeah, he was bad.
He was good in the first half, I thought.
He was. But you're right. So he earned the minutes to go down the stretch and then just didn't play well. But, we kind of wondered this. This was one of the things we wondered going in with regards to him. Does he still have to earn fourth quarter minutes? And it's weird because I don't think he is going to be consistently a guy that's like, good enough to close. But his ceiling is so high, and he's obviously a part of the future. And when he is on, it's like he's 10 times more valuable than, Barton or whoever else would replace him. You just wondered if he was still going to be on that, like, hey, you need to play well or else I'm going to pull you thing. Yeah. And to me, it seems like tonight loudly signaled that's exactly where he is.
Go ahead.
I think it puts Malone in a very difficult spot just to like decide going down the stretch. Do we want defense or do we want offense? Barton is not like head and shoulders a better defender, but he actually knows where to be on the floor. He knows how to make rotations. He knows his assignments. It's not so many mental mistakes that Michael Porter Jr. Has. But if Michael Porter Jr. is not on offense, it's what like you don't keep him on the floor because there's so many other things, so many downfalls to his game. So I think that it's really just like a battle that Malone has with himself every single night, and tonight was one of those nights.
Yeah, it's just about trust. I mean, the circle of trust.
He's out of the he's not fully in.
He's got one leg in, one leg out. Yeah. Sometimes he's all the way in, sometimes he's out.
Malone rents his space there.
Yeah.
To be fair, you argued for this, and Judge D-Line agreed with you. It's still about the tough love this whole year.
Yes.
So listen, like if you weren't such a good barrister, maybe we wouldn't have these issues.
I did make a disclaimer that those were not my accurate opinions.
All the same.
That was
all the same. You set the legal precedent. So
well, I will say this: when we talked about that, some of the assumptions was that there were players that proven that they've done it before, which is still true, but that can play at that level. And like right now, Will Barton, look, he's better than this, but he's not very good right now. He's not better than this right now. He's pretty consistently, just struggles with anything that requires athleticism, which is pretty much all of basketball. So I think that's the part of this that is tough. But to be fair, he was a minus 16 tonight, 19 minutes, and it wasn't because he wasn't scoring. He goes 3 of 5. He gets 2 of 2 3-pointers. So even with scoring, the Nuggets were getting absolutely destroyed when he was out there. And again, I'm not laying it on his feet because I would have played. There's no question for me. I would have played him. It was very clear that Jokic was going to do enough to put the team in position. Can you get guys to knock down shots, and could you get stops? Denver didn't get stops. They didn't have anybody knock down shots. You lose.
So I think a bunch of those minuses came, what was it, at the end of the first quarter when MPJ, Jokic, and Jamal Murray were out there for a long stretch together.
Yeah.
A long stretch together.
And JaMychal Green.
The
and
Dream
Monte
lineup
Morris
was out there.
Yeah,
like Denver's 5 best players this year arguably were out there. And
got murdered.
They got killed.
Yeah.
San Antonio, they rattled off a big run.
Yeah. San Antonio was on fire in that first quarter, and a lot of it at the end. I mean, I think they finished 7 of 8 in that first quarter. So some of this is running hot. But I will say one thing I noticed is because that lineup pops out, I'm keyed in. I'm like, I'm zeroed in on it because I want to see it. Shot selection to be questioned in there, and it wasn't even Michael Porter. It was like just you got all those weapons out there. You're like, all right, let's work the ball around. There was a lot of I got this one, put it up. So it's kind of frustrating.
The Nuggets honored the beautiful game that the Spurs created by calling their most isolations on the season.
Yeah, they did call a lot of isolations tonight, so it was ugly. So Michael Porter's a storyline. I hate to see him not play more. I would have felt better about this game had he just played and lost. But it wasn't, to me, it wasn't the number one story. Jokic tonight, I thought he was, in the first half, he starts 0-5, I think, or 0 of 6.
Yeah, came out of the gate a little
Did he
rough.
miss 6 in a row and then make 5 in a row? Because he finished 5 of 11
I don't know, but it was fun. Like, you can always tell when Jokic is engaged early on that he's going to, have a little game. Like, he was missing shots, but he was taking shots, right? Like, that's always the key for Jokic. Like, whether, at a certain point they're going to start dropping. Like, he was missing them off the front of the rim, 3-pointers, and even his little floaters, he never misses. And, you just knew watching him, he had energy to the game. It's so frustrating, though. Like, when you get a game like that out of Jokic and like no one else is really following him along.
I feel like it's happened so many times this year. A banger from Yoke, and then there's just you just need somebody to be like semi good or what have
Thanks,
you, and they
Josh.
just don't have it. Oh, somebody just super chat a shot. I saw Kale over here.
Kale's
to post
on the
up
move.
I still don't know. Are we supposed to thank them
Yeah,
or to
like, what
tell
is
them
this?
to?
But Yoke played a
$5 for 4 shots. I don't know, Kale.
It was partially a Kale decision.
Kale doesn't like our
Kale's
energy.
just taking things
He's trying
into
to
his own
flip our
hands.
energy here.
And just so commenters, just so you know, like Kale has some serious emo energy right now. So if you want him to display your comment, you should preface it with some like teary emojis or something.
He wants to play some pop punk like sad music.
Yeah, like
I'm not the perfect person. Very sad Rockies
like
fan.
put some Blink 182 or something.
But
in
no,
there, put
what
you
I
right
was
up.
going to say, this was a really perimeter-oriented game from Yoke.
Yeah.
Particularly in the first half. You mentioned the 0 of 5 from 3, and it was for Denver also. Nuggets had 2 free throws at the half. San Antonio had 18. And look, I don't think it was like the officials were out to get Denver. The Nuggets just didn't really take the ball to the rack.
Oh, they played like a team that was exhausted, and this is to me, it's one of the big fears that you look at. So Jokic, for the last 3 or 4 games, has kind of felt like he has been, he's done a lot. He's Phoenix wasn't a great game start to finish, but when it mattered, he stepped up and he had all this whole thing. It felt like he's a marathon runner that got halfway through the race and has just been like, "Yo, I don't got it." And then tonight he gets to where like he sees the finish line.
Yeah.
He sees the guy in first, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I can totally catch this dude." Like, and then I get to go to sleep. Like, let's just sprint the finish line, and he did. He sprinted through the tape. Had a great second half, dominant enough that you think like, if Yoke gives you that performance in the second half, you win the game, and they didn't. So it's really disappointing. So that brings me to what is, for me, sort of the second point. Jamal Murray gets a bucket there at the end, 20 to go over to hit his DraftKings number, so you get that one right, yes. Dev Stradamus. And Jokic and Murray, by the way, didn't he have 10 points in the first 5 minutes or something? He's always like...
Dude, I'm telling you, I wrote this earlier this year. Do you remember? Jamal Murray's field goal percentage by quarter decreases drastically.
Every quarter.
The first half, the second half splits are startling. Yeah. Absolutely startling. I mean, I'm sure it's something Nuggets know, but when you compare him to a lot of other guards, the Lillards, the Donovan Mitchells, they don't have that trend. Yeah. No, they might go down the third quarter, but their field goal percentage spikes in the fourth. Murray's first half to second half shooting splits are drastically different.
Harrison just was spitting such sad truths that I'm like,
I know.
Your audio just went out.
That sounds right.
What?
Adam's audio went out. That sounds about right. That's it's really par for the course tonight. All right. In the meantime, Zavelli. Here's to perpetual Rocky sadness and a bounce back game for the Nuggets coming next game. Let's go.
Hey, Utah.
Jazz on Sunday.
Man, this is rough. Whoa. Wow.
Yo, that was exceptionally rough.
We appreciate that.
That one burned all the way down.
Thank you.
Oh man.
Whoever sent that.
But we love it.
We got through a long week, man. This was a long week. This was a really long week.
I feel like it's a long life. It
is a long life. So Jamal Murray tonight, you look at the numbers, 26 and 7. He goes 9 of 14. But to me, I felt like watching this game, like I have for so many Murray games this year. It's just been, it was a frustrating one because again, you need 2 players to win. 3 is great. You need 2 players to win tonight. It just was like waiting for that second guy to go. The turnover, you were talking about a moment in the game. The Nuggets, I think they're within 5 points or so. Just dribbling up the court gets turned over for a layup, and you're like, my God. There was
another really key moment that you kind of forget about is Facu 2 times down the row had about those. Absolute guaranteed baskets that turned into turnovers.
We'll talk about him in a bit because he was, to me, another story. But I want to stick on Murray here.
But with Murray, it really was like the story of 2 halves. Like Murray was sensational in the first half. He was playing defense. He was very confident in his shot. He had a few walk-off shots. Went to go celebrate with his teammates in the middle of shots. He got into a zone really early on, and then the difference that we're seeing with Murray now is when Murray would get hit or hurt or anything during the game, he would actually power up. Now he's like,
he's too beat up, man.
And now it's like, okay, I'm just not going to go anymore. But the thing is, he mentally is just prepared to keep going. He could barely walk out there, but he still wants to be on the floor and he still wants to contribute. But is that hurting in a way that he's bringing the team down because he can't move the same way and he's not making those shots and things like that? He finished with 20, but it was like it was 4 shots at the end, and it just kind of came together.
It was a fake 20, and I agree with Dev. Look, Michael Malone before the game challenges Jamal Murray to be more shot ready, be more aggressive. He was in the first half.
Right.
He was ready to shoot in the first half. He had a great first half.
I'm telling you though.
Then the second half,
it ended for Murray the second he collapsed and hurt himself. Like it was just
Sure.
over. It was over. Like he did nothing after that. He made a bunch of mental errors. He made a bunch of physical errors. Like he was laboring out there, and it's frustrating. I don't know what you do.
He
about
needs to
that.
rest. I mean, I think it just comes down to it. Like,
By the way, we just got our first Serbian currency donation. We got 250 Serbian dinars. Which
Oh my God.
I looked it up.
This is a seminal moment.
$2.58.
Thank you. Thank you. Man, thank you. Still cool though. Actually,
It's
they
so
made Chris
cool.
pay in crazy
is super
currencies,
cool. Hell yeah.
man. That's actually
Hell yeah.
freaking dope. But here's the thing with Murray. So right now he's got a shoulder, he's got an elbow. Now he's got an ass. Like he hurt his ass today.
He's got
Like,
something.
So they're starting.
It's hard to play when your ass hurts.
He's a
Everybody knows
he's a
this.
zombie out there.
Yeah,
He
it's
really
bad.
is, man. And as much as we talk about this guy's so mentally tough, and one thing he said this going into the year, and I'm sorry I can't unhear it. He talked about mentally in the playoffs, all about that mentality, and you have to, and then he at the beginning of the season, he's like, man, it's hard for me now. It's just the regular season. I just want to speed it up and get there. And I think that I wonder if for him specifically, all his career so far, it's been like mental toughness. I'm a warrior, this or that. Now he's like, yeah, that doesn't matter, man. This is January. I don't need to be in that zone right now. And he just doesn't have that second gear.
Talk about skipping steps, right? Like where you're
He's like, I don't
you-
want this step
yeah,
at all.
Well, yeah, like where you're like inconsistent all the time. You have a decent off season, and then you have a transcendent off season. You're like, I'm LeBron
Right.
now. I'm just gonna coast
And I
through.
still think he's going to be that guy. But I have to ask this question, guys. This is a Debbie Downer question.
Oh boy.
2 years ago, 18.2 points per game. Last year, 18.5 points per game. This year, 19 points per game. 3 years ago, 4.2 rebounds per game. Last year, 4 rebounds per game. This year, 3.9. The numbers are almost the same. Assists, 4.8, 4.8, 4.2. Steals, 1, 1, 1. Every number's the exact same. Effective field goal percentage, 50%, 52%, 51%. Like, last year, if you look at three-point attempts, 2 years ago, 5.5. Last year, 5.5. This year, 6.1. Last year, this is the crazy thing. Last year's three-point field goal percentage, 34.6. This year, 34.6.
It's wild.
Is this who Jamal Murray is? Like, are we being unfair in our expectation of him because he got the max contract and because he went to the bubble and looked like Michael freaking Jordan? And like, is it? It's weird for me. It almost feels insulting to say we don't. Maybe he's just not what we saw in the bubble. But
I think it's for sure the expectation that we have for him. But now he became a max player.
Right.
So when you become a max player, you need to elevate yourself. If he wasn't the max player, then we look at him differently. Paul Millsap doesn't get evaluated the exact same way than
Right.
when he was making big money. Now
True.
he's not
Right, that's
making
so
big
true.
money. We
I do
don't
love
talk
that.
about Paul Millsap the same.
That is that's my favorite part of it.
Exactly. Jamal Murray is the max player. He's the player that makes the most on the Nuggets. We want him to elevate his game, or they're going to continue being the same
Got
team.
another
are you there?
We got another super chat here.
did we really? Can you pull up Basketball References page for Jamal Murray? Because I want to show the per 36 minutes. Because if you do that,
Oh,
it actually goes back 4 years. Where I'm not kidding when I say guess his 3-point attempts. 6.1, 6.1, 6.1, 6.3. That's 4 years in a
He's
row.
got to be doing this on purpose.
This is who and the percentages are identical. Like, it just might be who he is, and it's kind of interesting.
see what
What's
Josh
our
asks?
super chat?
He says, sorry about the shot, guys. This is Josh who gave us that horrific shot earlier. We all needed it. Real talk. If
real
Pop is the coach of this Nuggets team, are we a championship team? Shots fired at Mike Malone.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I think the Nuggets, first of all, are a championship team. They're fringe. Like, there's teams clearly ahead of them. They're challengers. I mean, I think. I guess
They're,
you
they're in there, man. Like it's really funny. Just the emotional swings of the sports fan. Like we were on top of the world before this game started, and now, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it too. Like, that's why sports is so great, because it just allows you to feel these feelings of, anger and frustration. But it's like, we lost the game. You were always going to lose this game.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure. Yeah, for
if
sure.
you really look at it, like this game sucked. Like, we could have won this game. There were some factors that broke wrong against us. Some bad plays, bad players. the Spurs stepped up at the right moment in time, but I mean, this is not an indictment of the Denver Nuggets as a squad right now. Like,
Definitely not. So you can pull up those numbers while we talk, Kel, but scroll on down to the per 36 part. Scroll down, scroll down, because I just want to show that's total. So one more right there, and if you just scroll across all of them, I don't know if everybody can see that from like points. I mean, it's 19, 20.1, 20.6, 19.5. Like, that's as steady and consistent. You get the percentages, as steady and consistent. Rebounds, assists. It's almost jarring how consistent it is.
It is jarring. I can't just sit here and say this is who Jamal Murray is. I just can't. He's only 23. The thing is, though, the Nuggets team, the Nuggets roster is built in such a way, allegedly, supposedly, that they aren't supposed to need huge nights from Jamal Murray throughout the regular season. Yeah. You know, it's built in a way with its depth at point guard specifically, that they don't need Jamal Murray to carry them offensively.
They do.
They're not supposed to need that.
They do, though.
Well, now we're realizing that
such
they
a good team when they do get it from him. Like, when he does play that way, you're just like, oh man, this team is a contender.
And the Spurs were good tonight, but
they were.
To beat
shots.
A Western Conference team that's on the fringe of the playoffs, they shouldn't need a absolutely ridiculous night from Jamal Murray. They shouldn't need it.
No, but the thing about Jamal is that he was on pace for just like a good game, and they were on pace to win. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And then Jamal fell off a cliff, and then at the end of the game, we have Barton. We have like a bunch of guys in there that Jokic feels so like by himself on, that we see Jokic doing lane driving isolation plays.
Right.
Where you're like, is this what it's come to? Like, and by the way, it's on the internet, so it must be true. This is our friend that gave us the Serbian dinars. He then now gave us an additional $250, so he's up to $5. Apparently, I made him feel bad by revealing the
by revealing the currency.
$2.58.
I feel like we're shaking down our audience.
I didn't mean to. I know. That was the point. I thought it was great. We're
going to spend this at the Sombor racetrack.
I can't. At the Sombor racetrack. I can't wait. Betting only on Jokic's horses. Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be overly harsh, because my real take on Jamal Murray is just that he's so banged up, man, and he has been from the jump. Like, how many games has he been healthy this year?
None.
Three,
2.
One. I can't remember when he got hurt.
I don't think he has been. Like, he came in, like we were talking about him looking slow, and the narrative first off was that he expended so much energy in the bubble and then didn't work out in the off season, so he came back slow and tired.
And I think that's a legit thing too.
I do too, but then it turned into his elbow is hurting. And now it's turning into his shoulder is hurting, and now it's going to be his ass.
Yeah. Well, he hurt his elbow in the third game of the season against the Rockets. Then the shoulder. He was wearing the shooting shirt tonight, if you guys saw, under his jersey, which he hadn't been wearing all season. So
it's funny, like we were talking about this too. Like, the thing about Jamal Murray we've always talked about is he's like the tough guy. He's able to go to that Zen place and work through it. His dad made him do push-ups in the snow, so he's able to work through pain, which is good because he's always in pain. He's always hurt.
The life of pain. Let's hit our first ad break. On the other side, we'll stop picking on Jamal Murray. We'll talk about some of the other stuff that's happening with the Nuggets tonight. We saw Isaiah Hartenstein for 5 minutes tonight.
We did.
We'll talk about that on the other side.
Yeah, guys, we got a new partner that you can support. Really excited about these guys, especially in this day and age. Zoom Care. The one great thing that we can take away from a pandemic is the ability to do more things from the comfort of your own home. Nobody likes sitting in a doctor's office or even going to the doctor for that matter, but we all need to take care of ourselves. So what is Video Care? Video Care is like a trip to Zoom Care just from your couch. You can see, hear, and chat with your doctor, just like a traditional office visit. Get secure access to urgent, primary, and specialist care, including mental health.
Yeah, like that's what we're doing right now. We're providing the Zoom Care mental health service for all of the Nuggets Nation out there. We gotta work through this together, people.
Video Care from Zoom Care, covered by most private insurers, usually comes with a copay. Visit zoomcare.com to get started. There's nothing better than getting a diagnosis from your doc while sitting in your own living room. We also got Hassel Cattle Company. I grilled up a New York steak, New York Wagyu steak last night, baby.
How'd you do it?
How'd I do it?
What was your cooking technique? Did you go grill? You go flat iron?
This doesn't feel like a real story.
Flat iron. No, I swear to God. I mean, I didn't cook it.
Did you? But were
personally, but I ate one and watched it get cooked.
Do you feel about the Wagyu beef as I do? That it's like transcendently delicious.
Yeah, I mean, everyone I've had has been just damn good. It's been incredible. Check out Hassel Cattle Company, guys. They've got everything: New York strip, beef bacon, Wagyu Franks, jerky flavors. They even got jerky. Their hamburger won Food Network's Northeast Burger Jam. Check them out. HassleCattleCompany.com. Use code DNVR10 for 10% off your order. That's code DNVR10 for 10% off your order. Any order over $200, you will receive free shipping. Check them out.
Who's on the jukebox? Kale, are you all over the jukebox right now?
Do you want to?
Oh, there's like nonstop emo rap playing.
Somebody's
backstage.
mad. Somebody's very
We're just
mad.
playing, like nonstop
In the bar
atmosphere.
right now.
Hey, we had Post Malone and now a bunch of atmosphere.
Super producer Kale revealed his feelings to you, and you have just like really turned that against him. Since then.
Kale,
he opened up his heart to
that's
you,
the
man.
first rule in male relationships. You never let them know how you're actually feeling.
That's not true. That's toxic masculinity. Let's hear it. Read it off for me. Eric's supposed to be monitoring.
It says,
these.
we were doing an ad. It says, I really don't understand the Nuggets' inability to win in San Antonio. It befuddles me. LOL. I'm getting tired of Jamal's. I'm hurt and tired. Just rest, please.
Yeah. I think the San Antonio thing is simple. For many years, they were just really good.
Dominant.
I mean, one of the best teams in the NBA that only lost at home like 6 times a year.
Yeah.
Never was Denver that got them. So that's a majority of it. But it is true that over the last handful of years that you would think Denver would sneak one of these in, and they just haven't. So I don't know if there's anything else to it besides that.
Like I was saying earlier, it's a tough place to play.
It's cavernous. He's
I'm
going
telling
back
you,
to the
man.
cavernous
I'm telling
media
you,
area.
it's intimidating. It's intimidating walking into that arena.
I like imagining
It's
that the Nuggets
intimidating.
never get a pregame meal because of how hard it is to find the like dining hall and like. I don't
It's so
know.
confusing.
Bats.
They probably got lost, like going to shoot-arounds. Just saying.
It's a really long walk to the arena. They're tired by the time they
You
get
got
to
to
the
make a
court.
right,
Yeah.
and then a left into the hallway, and then a right into the inner hallway, and then a left into the inner hallway.
That's the greatest theory ever.
I love it.
All right.
Harris says nothing but good theories.
We talked about Will Barton enough, to be honest. I don't feel like we really need to go
Yeah, I
there.
don't wanna
Gary
tell you.
Harris does, once again, knock down 2 of 5 3-pointers. He's back, baby. His 3-pointers are back.
He was fine.
He was a +0, so that was nice. Isaiah Hartenstein getting in tonight, and he was a +1. He had a couple plays, though.
He did have a couple plays.
Couple like head slapper ones, but nonetheless, like it was interesting to see. Would you make anything of this, Dev, that he was in the rotation tonight?
I mean, look who's got out of the doghouse type of event, because it's not like the Spurs are a big team or anything like that. So
Well, they had Pirtle.
Yeah, they Pirtle.
yeah, but that's it. And he
Yeah.
also only played 5 minutes, so it was just
Right.
kind of like, let's throw somebody in there. Maybe he just gets a few minutes since they have to figure out the PJ Dozier minutes and just try to divvy those up. But yeah, Hartenstein, as soon as he got in the game, he made a play. He scored on the first time that he got in. He's going to bang you around. He's going to be a little bit physical, and I think I would put him in the game just to bring that physicality, because this was a game that the Nuggets, especially in the first half, did not get to the free throw line. They were not the aggressors in the game, so putting him in the games that you need a bruiser or somebody that's just going to go in there and fight is what you probably need at times. So I would just put Hartenstein in at times where I just need a change of pace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was surprising to me that he played. Michael Malone pregame said this was going to be another RJ Hampton game. He like flat out said that RJ Hampton's going to get another shot tonight, and I don't know if it was just the direction the game went or if Michael Malone just was being facetious pregame, but he goes with Hartenstein over Hampton. Isaiah Hartenstein, he's just got to slow down. He's got to just chill out. It seems like he's running 150 like miles an hour out there when he only needs to be running 100. He's got to just slow down and just chill.
I felt bad for Hartenstein tonight because
Terrence, thank you.
I felt bad for Isaiah Hartenstein tonight because he clearly was out of rhythm. Like he'd been out for so long, and then we talked about Michael Porter having the like, hey, don't mess up or you're pulled. Like I thought Hartenstein had that look on his face tonight of like, these are my minutes. They didn't go well. Like, oh crap, I'm 3 minutes into and I don't know if they're gonna pull me or whatever. And that's a tough spot to be in. And you know, tough or not, that is what you get. And Mike Malone talked about this. It's for young players, the number one skill you have to have is the ability to stay ready, because your minutes they're not going to be many, but you're going to have to be given just a little tiny bit, and you have to absolutely maximize them. And I see a Hartenstein and his frustration today, but at the same time, that's what you get, and you gotta stick with it. The next guy, your boy Campazzo. So Bruno Passos, our pregame show, guys. Hopefully, you're watching the pregame show. We had somebody on from San Antonio telling us about the Spurs, and one of the matchups he identified as being key: Patty Mills, Facundo Campazzo. The referee scored that one a first-round KO. That was a 3 knockdown TKO.
That was a throw in the towel, man.
That was a throw in the towel matchup
Throw the
tonight.
damn towel.
I thought Campazzo really struggled, and to your point, Eric, there were some 2 plays right in a row
Jake.
that really felt like they could have changed the entire game, and they both turn into turnovers that go the other direction.
Are we supposed to be doing shots for? We keep getting just $5 super chats. Why? I want to make sure that the people feel like they're getting what they're paying for. We already discussed. Like
Eric will take off his shirt for $10. He will take.
Oh
off his shirt.
Oh, I never even thought about that. But you're more
Only
of a marketing.
DNVR only fans right here.
Yeah, but we already established that we're getting blackout drunk after this, so we might as well get the party
Might as well just
started.
start throwing shots out here. Yeah.
Campazzo, though, man, he will try to make a simple pass way harder.
Yeah.
I feel like he'll do those one-handed slingers, and those are fun, but they're just not needed all the time.
Yeah.
If he just would have made the simple play, I thought he could have avoided a couple of those turnovers.
Disciplined team like San Antonio, especially.
That's exactly what Dev said when we were looking at those like crazy circus highlights. He's like, "You can't do that in the NBA." Turns out that you can't do that in the NBA.
So he was brought in to, as a defensive guy, and he's been very hot or cold. Like he's had made and he had a couple tonight. Like he had a steal in transition tonight. Like he has some of those. But when you talk about what do the Nuggets really struggle with? Dribble penetration, quick guards. Patty Mills can't guard. Didn't guard him that well. The other night, Jalen Brunson couldn't really guard him that well. Like maybe it's just impossible to guard in the NBA. I don't know, but I do feel like that's an area where consistency, he hasn't quite found it defensively.
Also, just with the Nuggets defense and how it's geared just completely. Fast guards and players that could really shoot the 3-ball well.
Yeah.
Well, Patty Mills is a very fast guard, and he can shoot the 3-ball well.
Yeah.
So
He's a Nuggets killer.
He already has an advantage over Campazzo,
Yeah.
and then he's just a seasoned vet. He's a player that knows exactly what to do on the floor. So, I mean, that was a first round TKO if you have a tell of the tape.
Glass
Right,
Joe,
yeah.
baby. Glass Joe. And
I just
Mike
think
Tyson's
Campazzo's,
punch-out.
he's probably going to be hit or miss all year.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think
But
he's going to
been-
have some great games and some really bad games like he had tonight.
You're so right. But like to his credit, like he had 2 good games that preceded this.
That's so
this
true.
past.
Sure.
Like,
And they
Very
helped Denver win. Patty Mills, he's on the Nuggets All Nuggets killer list.
Who's that starting 5?
The only one I know for certain is JJ Redick. I'd say Rashawn Holmes might be
I was
the
gonna
like.
say
And
Rashawn
Rashawn
Holmes.
Holmes might be
Ish
the
Smith?
Ish Smith is only
Ish
once.
Smith-
Only
but
once.
It's
only
anyone.
once.
It's anyone with the initials JJ.
'cause
JJ Barea
Ish
and
Smith has
JJ.
been like
JJ
buried
Redick.
on a bench for the last 5 years, though.
JJ Barea might be. JJ Barea and,
All the
and Patty
JJs.
Mills are having a really.
Rashawn Holmes.
Every JJ. kills
Rashawn
the
Holmes
Nuggets.
is definitely there. Who else?
There was
Gotta
a
be
time
some
that
forwards.
Okafor was like just bringing it every time.
Which Okafor we talking
Jalil. That's the worst
Get out of
part.
here, man.
I'm
Get out of
telling
here.
you, he had
No,
his
that one
moments.
doesn't count. That one
Maybe
doesn't
like
count.
a Maxi Cleaver.
Yeah.
Maxi Cleaver.
Yeah, and I was gonna
Somebody
make
on the
make a
Mavs?
joke that everyone would get mad at. I'm not going to make it.
Are there any other notes from this game that we need to talk about? I mean, look, we this is what happens after a loss. We talk about the things, we talk about trends with this or that. The truth is, if we step back, 10,000-foot view, 4-1, like that was a great road trip.
Great
A plus.
road trip.
If I were to grade
Yeah.
the road trip, I'd give it an A plus.
Man,
And people are
idiot.
saying no, a 5-0 is an A plus. Like 5-0, we've talked about it, hadn't happened since 2012. So
Yeah.
if that's how you grade a road trip, then never get an
that's
A
never
plus.
happened.
Then
Boban's on the.
You're
Boban is on there.
Oh yeah, Boban's definitely on there.
Kills everyone.
Boban might be ahead of Rashawn Holmes. Maybe we just bump Rashawn Holmes over to power forward so we can shoot that floater coming into the
Man, that
lane.
would be a brutal game. Would we lose that game by 80 points?
You lose that game by 80 points. There's got to be a real crappy small forward we're forgetting. Some
Jordan Clarkson.
Oh.
yeah, he's all right.
What
He's
about,
all right.
uh,
Oh wait, no, Rodney Hood.
Rodney Hood. that's what I said.
Rodney Hood, the starting small forward on this. terrible-
man.
You're right. This team wins 4 games all year, only 4 games, and it's just against Denver. They win by 50. It's amazing. Should we let's hit our other break. On the other side, hopefully we have Brendan Vogt. Where are we at with Brendan Vogt there? Okay.
All right, we'll see. Dylan, can you get a pick of the week lined up for the
Oh.
other side of this read?
Yep.
Por favor. We got the Super Bowl coming up. And
Who
the Super Bowl.
cares?
No. We do care. We do care because DraftKings Sportsbook is the place to be for the Super Bowl.
For sure. The DraftKings Sportsbook is the only thing saving the Super Bowl.
The types of props, you guys, that are going to be on DraftKings for the Super Bowl are going to be wild, absolutely wild. And also, they are bringing back their golden ticket giveaway with up to $55 million in prizes up for grabs. All you have to do to get your share of these huge prizes is enter DraftKings Sportsbook free Super Bowl prediction challenge. Once you submit your picks, you'll get a free instant prize up to $25,000. So it doesn't even sound like you have to do anything. Just submit your picks.
Yeah, you get a free prize.
You can get a free prize.
It is true. That's how it works.
Yeah, crazy. So make sure to download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR to enter the free $55 million Super Bowl prediction challenge. Everyone gets an instant prize up to $25,000 just for playing. So use promo code DNVR and enter the free $55 million Super Bowl challenge only at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official daily fantasy partner of the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 55. Super Bowl 55. Terms and conditions and eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Also, give Mike and Virginia Chevalier a ring over at Chevalier Mortgage. Their phone number, you can call Virginia directly, 303-257-6578. You can call Mike directly, 970-412-2472. You can visit them at DNVRmortgage.com. They know everything about taking out a mortgage. If you're a first-time home buyer, they are a great resource for you. So visit them at DNVRmortgage.com and enter to win a free DNVR shirt or hat of your choice when you do, and get set up for a free consultation to discuss all of your options. That's DNVRmortgage.com.
Pick of the week, you want to hear it?
DraftKings Pick of the Week, let's go.
Pick of the week, you can lock this down. This is, you bet any amount of money, your children, bet your home on this. That's going to be Jokic threes against the Utah Jazz.
It's going to be 1.5.
Because he's going to want to draw Rudy Gobert out of the paint. He's going to take a bunch of threes.
He always takes a lot of threes against the Jazz.
Always
Just
takes a
made
bunch of
5
threes.
in a row, we think.
Yo, I'm telling you, that's a lock. Lock.
Lock it
Love
in,
it.
baby.
DraftKings Pick of the Week, Jokic over 1.5 threes
All right.
against the Jazz.
So let's talk about that first before we get there, guys. You guys can see our haters are growing. Like, we're finding every
Yes.
city we go to, we pick up new haters that can't stop watching our show, but they
Love
want to.
it.
You guys got to drown them out. Give us a
Oh.
like. Throw us that like on there so that
I know.
YouTube doesn't think that
Your
we're
hate is fueling me. I'm only getting stronger.
You're only getting stronger for sure. We have a question in here. Do any of you think MPJ will re-sign? So here's an interesting thing about this. Michael Porter could force his way out of Denver by saying, I don't want to be here, and becoming, this or that. But typically, rookies, teams control them. Because if they didn't, then everybody would want out of Denver, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You
I don't
already
want
see
out
what
of
happens
Denver.
not us.
I
but
want to stay in Denver. What?
NBA players would want out of Denver. So
Come on, NBA players.
He would become a restricted free agent at worst. Denver would have an opportunity to extend him before that. Denver controls whether or not they keep him. The thing is, would he force his way out, which would be a pretty drastic measure that I think the answer is probably no. If Denver was really truly committed to Michael Porter, and I think that they are, I think the front office loves him, the ownership knows he's important, you would just get to a point that'd be well, then Michael Malone's out of here, honestly. It would literally come to that if they thought, no, he's part of this, Michael Malone would get the boot and they would move forward with Michael Porter. So one thing that's really important, and George Karl talks about this on the Keeping It 1000 podcast, so much of reporting and sports analysis, including what we're doing, is looking through a glass darkly. Projecting based on reading the tea leaves, okay, we have little bits of information, we don't have everything. And I think with fans, it gets filtered down, they get even less. And so they're looking at this and they're saying, well, Michael Porter didn't play. Michael Porter's a good player. I'll bet he wants out. I'll bet he doesn't want this. I don't sense any of that from the team so far. I could be wrong. I'm not saying definitively, but I don't sense that. I understand why fans think that. It's really early in the process now, and I suspect that as time goes on, this will become less and less, and Michael Porter will become more and more of a player. And should it break the way it's broken for Jokic, for Murray? I mean, guys, remember, Jokic's second year wasn't even playing that much minute. Jokic's second year came off the bench. Now it'd be absurd to think, does Jokic want to be here? They're not playing. No, of course. So there's time for it. I get your frustration, but
Let it out, baby.
I think that's a low-risk scenario at this point in time.
I think what people might be thinking is, oh, Jeremy Grant walked. Why wouldn't Michael Porter Jr. walk?
Right.
But what you've got to remember, and I think what we know just from hearing stuff about the Jeremy Grant situation, Michael Porter Jr. was is so much higher, or was so much higher on like the Nuggets priority list than Jeremy Grant was. He just was.
Yeah.
Like a reason Jeremy Grant left was because Michael Porter Jr. was clearly above him.
Yeah.
Just in the Nuggets plans.
Right.
On the depth chart, in the pecking order.
One of like 5 reasons.
Right. There were a lot of reasons. That was one of them. The MPJ factor was one of them. So Denver, like you said, values MPJ incredibly high. So I don't see that happening.
The commenters have solved this. This is like a pretty simple solve. We haven't even brought up.
What?
Greg Whittington. Greg Whittington wins this game.
Man, what do we
Whittington.
set over under on Greg Whittington? How many games this year for him?
I don't.
One?
The crazy thing is, I
just
seen him
kidding.
today. I said, "Who is this guy?"
He was in that video they
Who's
tweeted
this
out.
guy with all these teeth?
He was smiling.
all these teeth. That's what you said?
Why can I see his wisdom teeth in this picture? I mean, in this video.
Dev was very confused after seeing an image of Greg Whittington.
And it was Greg Whittington, and I said, "He exists. He's a real person." But I also see like pictures of in commercials of Santa Claus. So who knows? Who knows?
It's true. Who knows? That's a great point, though. Greg Whittington is the Santa Claus of the Denver Nuggets. He's going to bring presents, wins, and joy.
Just gifts.
Just gifts.
Let's look ahead real briefly as we wait on. Guess what? Nikola Jokic post game workout, slowing things up.
Shocker.
So, yeah, shocker. And every time he speaks, we have to wait a little bit. Vote might hop on here in a second. Somebody let him know he can hop on if he wants to, and then hop off when Jokic talks or whatever. He can emergency it. But I want to look ahead to Utah
Jokic is
because
rage pumping iron right now.
oh man, just so furious.
He's wrestling Felipe
Looking at the
Eichenberger and
team on
Flacco.
pumps and it's just like
2-on-1.
King of the game in the meantime.
Yeah,
I don't even know who it is. I was not part of the
I'd
voting
love
here.
to. We would love to hit
If you,
King
had,
of the
if you had
Game.
one guess. Oh,
As Jokic?
can you believe it?
No.
You didn't even. I'm just saying you didn't ask. You didn't ask me who.
DeMar DeRozan was fantastic tonight.
DeMar DeRozan really was the king of the game. He was fantastic.
Are they going to
tonight.
trade him?
Probably.
Is DeMar
Nuggets
DeRozan
fans
going to
want
ask?
him.
His stock is super
I
duper high.
kind of
right now.
want him.
It'd be so weird, man.
DeMar DeRozan, 30 points, 10 assists tonight?
I'd really feel
10 dimes?
I'd really feel like the Raptors, but okay. I want to look ahead because as we speak, the Utah Jazz are headed towards their 11th straight win. They're up on the Dallas Mavericks by 20, which is lower. They were up by 30, so maybe the Mavs are on the comeback trail here. But you know
they're up by 25.
No, they're back up at 25. Utah Jazz legitimately, I said this on Locked On NBA earlier this week, they're the number one team in my personal power ranking right now. And that's not hyperbole. That's not like, oh, it's cute, they're making shots. No, like, they to me look like, remember when the Nuggets lost game 82? They carried that chip on their shoulder into the next year and said, we're not doing this shit again. That's what the Utah Jazz look like, a team that's really come together. And, the Nuggets have been tested on this road trip. They played some teams. I think Sunday is going to be a absolute gut check game for the Denver Nuggets because the Jazz are rolling. I know they always want to make a point against Denver. They want to keep that winning streak alive. I think they're going to get their biggest test, and if they're not careful, that game can get out of hand.
I love that take. I totally agree. And what's so scary about the Jazz right now, I believe they're shooting the second most threes in the league per game.
Making them.
And they're making a ton of them, too. They just have such a defined identity right now. And they had one last year, but now Mike Conley is fully integrated into that thing. They've got Bogdanovic back. Like, that team knows what they want to do every single time down the floor. They kind of remind me of the Suns in that aspect. Like, they just have such a defined game plan every single time down the floor. They know what they're doing. They know what types of shots they want. And they execute. They really execute.
Harrison talked about a defined identity, and that's exactly what you see with that Jazz team, and they're geared exactly for that. They have a defensive center, that everyone else is built around him. They're defensive players. Then you have Donovan Mitchell who can score when he wants to. You have guys that can switch it up in Ingles and Royce O'Neal and players like that. That's not a team that has all of these superstars or anything like that, but they know exactly what they want to do, and Quinn Snyder has them playing the best basketball right now. That's going to be a very, very tough game to go into, especially when they play to the strengths of them and the weaknesses of the Nuggets. They're shooting the three ball well. They protect the rim, and we've already talked about how they came into the season with a chip on their shoulder. Well, guess who gave them that chip? The Nuggets are the team that eliminated them, and it was an embarrassing fashion. They're definitely going to come in ready for that game. So that's really a gut check game. For
to me, that game, like the last time we matched up against them, is really, really comes down to Jamal Murray. It is Jamal Murray versus Donovan Mitchell. Like, that is the marquee matchup. We saw it in the playoffs, obviously. We saw it the last time they matched up. That was the first game that Jamal Murray really broke out this season. He really went for it, and he got it. And that's what we're learning about Jamal Murray, is that he's a player that requires motivation to perform. And I think, I know that, the Jazz are playing well. They're beating everybody. Like, they beat us games, like however many games ago, 6-7 games ago, when the Nuggets were not playing their best basketball, by 4 points. Right? We didn't have MPJ at that point. The Nuggets were at a much lower point than they are right now. And so I don't think it's at all unthinkable that the Nuggets can pull that off. I understand, they're sort of like the Jazz are rising at maybe a higher clip than the Nuggets are. But listen, if MPJ shows up tonight, we probably win this game.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
If Jamal Murray is engaged for all 4 quarters tonight, we probably win this game. Like, I don't. You can't tell me that the Nuggets don't have a puncher's chance in that game.
But it's interesting that you say that, Donovan Mitchell versus Jamal Murray, because there's a chance that neither play. I mean, Donovan Mitchell has been out. It sounds like he's close to being back. Jamal Murray has been in. It sounds like he's close to not. So, I mean, he could wake up tomorrow with a giant ass bruise.
Save him for the Pistons game.
Well, I was
Monday night?
I was going to ask this question. I'm curious in the comments. Give me your answer here. If I told you the Nuggets could have one feel-good win, they've got Utah and then Detroit, with Jeremy Grant coming into Denver. If I told you could have one feel-good win and one humiliating loss, you had to pick, what would you go with,
God,
Dev?
it's a simple question.
I think that they should beat Utah, and they
Yes.
already had their most humiliating loss of the season already. So
Which one?
the
I was saying
Kings?
coming up. One of these
Coming
next
up?
two. Yeah, like you had to pick one of these is going to be
I
like a
think that
blowout
Utah
loss.
Jazz, you win
Yeah,
the Jazz
you win
game
the
and you lose
division.
to the
Yeah,
Pistons.
of course.
Yeah, it's a division game, and then it's also against Utah, who we already know is a really good team, and that means that you played up.
Where that means in this scenario, we get Plum Dog is just going for triple
But I mean,
double
like,
Plum
Mason
Dog.
Like,
Plumlee,
that would
5 reverse dunks.
But that would just be comedy, because that would be like, all right, like whatever. Like the Pistons have now increased their win total to 6 on the year.
Yeah.
Like, they're in the Eastern Conference.
Jeremy
like,
Grant just locking up Michael
I mean, like,
Porter.
that would just be a Twitter. It would be an absolute Twitter nightmare for Jeremy Grant to cook us.
It would
You
be
guys
a
are right.
rough 24 hours after that game for sure.
I just wanted to correct Josh. You're right. Like the Utah Jazz, man. Like there's nothing worse than losing to them. I mean,
Dude, there are
especially with my least favorite player in the NBA, Gobert.
They have now risen to they are our official rival.
Yeah, they're definitely an
course.
official rival,
Yeah.
and it's funny to be punching upwards at them. I'll tell you one last thing that kind of hurts here. I just open up the standings as
Just
I do.
nonstop pain.
Yeah, you guys want more pain? Yeah, because following the standings this early in the season is just silly, but it's kind of fun to do. Nuggets now behind San Antonio. We fell to 5th. From 4th to 5th now.
That's
San
all right.
Antonio ahead of Denver.
The other day we jumped from 10th to 4th.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
gotta say, San Antonio, they got some players. Keldon
Johnson?
man. Keldon Johnson,
gonna be
DeJounte Murray.
Yeah.
Both those guys look great tonight.
The greatest dunker in the NBA right now, Lonnie Walker.
That
Lonnie Walker
dunk was insane. He went up.
He does-
went down. He went up.
Came back up
He dunked
left-handed.
it. Like, whoa.
He does that one a lot. I've seen him do that one in warm-ups. It's like his go-to Showtime dunk, and he makes it look just so easy, man. He's like 10% more athletic than Malik Beasley. Think about how much Malik Beasley jumps up. He's like a whole other level. Do we have Brendan Vose? He's just not hopping on today. All right. Well, I guess we could just wrap up the show, guys. Any other parting thoughts before we get out of here?
I mean, I said it at the top. 4-1 road trip's a 4-1 road trip.
Yo,
I mean,
it was a great
it was an
road trip.
awesome
It
road
was a
trip. It
great
really
road
was. And I said on the pregame show, this could have been a defining road trip for Denver. Like,
So close.
they are, but even at 4-1, they're at such a better place now than they were when they set out on this thing.
And they're about to come and bring it in the ball. Like, we've won on the road. We've not won at home this year.
That's so true. We got ballers.
And the reason we haven't won at home is because we started off the year on a big homestand where we didn't have half our players. So we're about to actually be able to take advantage of playing at the ball.
I will say they're going to travel back to Denver, and that game is in 36 hours. It is not that. It's a 1 o'clock game or 1:30 game. Well, we'll be back here, guys, for the pregame show. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks especially to everybody that threw a like on this video.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you
give
guys.
us a like,
And thank
dude.
you especially to everybody that hopped in the super chat.
Love it.
We always
And
appreciate
the regular
that,
chat.
guys.
We love all you. You don't have to pay to talk to us, but if you do, it's cool. But
The Avs guys, the Avs fans, the Avs fan base, very big.
well,
super
they
chatters.
because the Avs basically threw a kegger and they were just like slamming.
Tap
Like
the keg.
they were like basically incoherent halfway through. So if that's what you're after from us, you can get it.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend. Be nice to each other. We'll see ya.